finally getting the opportunity to read volume 1 of the side story for DanMachi that is very much focused, of course, on Irons and the Loki familiars. The one thing that I really do love about this is the sort of different in perspective, but I will say the anime definitely has some areas that it could have definitely done better, and I'll get into that afterwards, but I mainly want to focus on the volume right now, is that I really do love the different perspective that we get to see of the Loki familiars. We get to see a little bit more of Loki's sort of mysterious and out of control antics with how silly she can be, as much as there is definitely some weird fan servicey moments in the light novel where she's trying to sort of do things that are very questionable. It is definitely a lovely little sort of pinch of a different side of the perspective of the story, and you do of course get to see a little bit of Belle and Hestia in it, but not so much. It's more just you see them sort of in the background of the story doing their own day-to-day things so that you know it's in sync with the story. That's what I really love about it. It's basically following the same storyline, but just of course focusing on a different character, and I really do love that. I would say the 3 characters that I really do love though is of course Eyes, because of course it is focused on her, and then the 2 Amazon girls. I love the bantering that goes on between these 2 girls and just how fun and energetic they can be. There's so much life in them, and they're full of so much energy to the point where it can be comical, it can be silly, but there's just so much going on between these girls, and the interactions that they have with Eyes, Loki, and the other familiars as well is always a fun treat. And of course I have watched the anime, so I know later on the fun interactions with Belle as well. So there's so much life in them, and that's what I really love about the 2 Amazon girls. And of course the different cultures and how the elves, the Amazons are very polar opposite. The elves are very withdrawn about showing their skin, while the Amazons love to show their skin and be a little bit more flirtatious with their eye candy, which really makes it hard for videos. But I think that's what I really do love about those 2 particular girls. And of course, going into the story itself, we do really get to find out a little bit more of the backstory of what's going on, the dungeons itself. It fleshes out a lot more of the world itself and some of the missing areas, especially with the dungeon, why it's made, and just some of the creatures itself and some of the anomalies that can go on in the dungeon, especially as it gets deeper. But even then, with even some of the weird anomalies that go on, there definitely seems to be some other bigger transpiring things going on. And you also see, of course, some quests and how they're doing side jobs as well as defeating monsters and making money and getting equipment and trading. There's lots of interesting stuff with how they go about their day-to-day lives with trading, negotiations, and how they split the duties up between each of the familiars that they specialize in. I think that's one of the things I do love about this volume, is that with the original main story, is that because it's sort of a build-up from Belle, and Belle's going from the ground up, it can be a little bit slow in seeing all the different aspects of the world itself. But with this one, you've got an established strong group. They're all in decently high levels 3s, 4s, and 5s, and then of course Eyes getting very close to pushing that barrier. You get to see a little bit more of the sort of high-end tier progression when it comes to trading, negotiations, weapons, and just the bigger stuff that goes on, which Belle is slowly getting into in the story, but takes a lot longer. I think that's what I do love, because you get to see a little bit more of the high-end stuff, especially with, of course, the trading and the politics that go on at that higher end. And I think one of the other things that I really do enjoy about this volume is just some of the dark, mysterious things that are going on, not just within the dungeon itself, but also with the goddess and the gods themselves, and how they're always crafting and planning stuff. And we get to see a little bit more of Faya, my lovely Faya. I just absolutely love her. And I've mentioned that in all my other reviews with the main story. It's just how much I love Faya and just how crazy and weird she can be, but that's what I love about her. She's just very strange and mysterious. And you do really see in the light novel and in the anime just how obsessive she is of Belle and how much she's infatuated with Belle. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. But of course, this isn't so much focused on Faya and Belle. This is focused on the Loki familiars. So I really do look forward to seeing more of the Amazon girls. If I can't see more of Faya, I really want to see more of the Amazon girls. And the last thing that I want to talk about, because I just mentioned before that I would talk about the anime, is the anime itself and some of the things that it takes out of the light novels. And I'd say as far as constructive criticisms go for the anime, the one thing I really don't like about these 3 episodes, the 3 episodes that follow Volume 1 in sync with the story, is that it's not anything that they drastically remove out of the light novel, it's actually the opposite. It's what it adds that doesn't need to be added. And the one character that I've never really liked from the anime, and now rewatching it, is of course the sort of new girl that's introduced, that's the elf. And the reason why I never really liked her too much, and I don't mind her so much in the light novels, because she isn't super annoying in the light novels. Again, I kind of skipped over as I was talking about it before, because I'm not as interested in her. I like the Amazon girls, I like Eyes, and even I like Loki, and of course the dwarf and the other elf girl. I do like them. But the thing I don't really like about this new elf girl is that she kind of comes off a little bit grindy, a little bit obnoxious, just very pestering and constantly downgrading herself. And I understand that can be some interesting character development, but she just comes off too over the top and too in your face about how mopey she is, to the point where it's just more of a hindrance, and it just annoys me a lot. But in the light novels, it isn't so bad. It definitely has its moments, but nowhere near as bad, because she's not as much in the light novels as she is in the anime. They add her into the anime more. There are scenes where she's not even in the light novel, and then in the anime she's just added in. The one scene to note is when Eyes is going down into the dungeon on her own to do a little bit of killing on her own, and she's collecting stones up. In the light novels, again, she's doing it on her own. In the anime, she has the elf girl with her. And that's the thing that I find kind of annoying, is that why did they need to add her into the anime so much more? I feel like if they didn't add her as much in those 3 episodes, I feel like people may have not been as agitated by her. Because as much as I don't mind her in the light novels, she adds an interesting extra character. In the anime, she just comes off too saturated. And again, this is just constructive criticism. You don't have to agree with me, and I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But for me personally, in the anime, she's just a little bit too saturated in the storytelling, and she just comes off a little bit too obnoxious because of how much we see her. In the light novels, not a problem. I find her a little bit annoying, but nowhere near as bad, because again, she's nowhere near as much in it. And that's just as far as constructive criticisms go. There is definitely some scenes that have been removed from the anime right at the beginning of the volume, where it's to do with some fight scenes, and it kind of adds a bit of context to some of the bosses and stuff. I can understand why it was removed, but at the same time, it would have been nice to still have it in there. I feel like if they removed the elf stuff and added that instead, it would have been really awesome. But again, we'll just have to see the comparisons from volume 2 to the next couple of episodes. But overall, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts about this volume? Who's your favorite character? And if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more anime content, and I'll see you, beautiful nerds, in the next video.